jersey, just going off to the left. There he is now with the orange jersey on right now. Big, strong rider, Axel. Looking pretty nervous right now, looking over his shoulder. Probably wants to know the whereabouts of Andre Schmiel. What a great season Axel has had. He's brought his dad an awful lot of emotion. A great individual stage victory in the Giro d'Italia when I could not believe that he would come back after a dramatic crash. And then in the month of June he took the national championships, and it's been a long time since the Belgians have seen the name Merckx right at the top of the leaderboard. And I tell you one thing, they say that Eddie was actually there commentating for Belgian television, and they had to rip the microphone away from him with about 10 kilometers to go.
Well, you know, Merckx, followed by Merckx, was a pretty sensational thing to happen. You know, Hamilton one or two other riders that hasn't been much a shamble in recent years. The Italians at the minute are doing everything right. They've got all of their players at the front. The Spanish riders are riding in the sense of Oscar Freire again. It's an interesting move this. The big guns are firing. The big teams who boast 12 starters are now showing the advantage of having so many riders on the start line.
Well, good squads coming forward now, getting team tactics, and I do feel that the Spanish really only have one major chance in their rank, and that is the defending champion Oscar Freire, and that would be pretty impressive if he could make it 2 in a row. The last time that was done by Gianni Bugno. It's very rare for a world title to happen twice in succession. The field though does look to be reducing in numbers somewhat, and it really is becoming a war of attrition as we rejoin the 4 leaders, and they're looking a little bit more ragged than they did earlier on. This climb, although not very much, if you do it just on one occasion, after 5 or 6 hours in the saddle, really does start to become quite a mountain. It feels as if somebody's got a hydraulic jack underneath it and they're lifting it up each time you come around.
Those legs are not going to make it to the finish on these 4 riders, and that's the reason why. 1 minute 10 seconds now back to the peloton. Robbie Hunter, the latest rider to reach Orius in South Africa, who's now retired.
In fact, although that time gap is just over the 1 minute, I noticed they're pushing all of the cars out of the gap right now, and these guys know what that means. That's why Marichal there from Belgium is looking over his shoulder. It means once they start pushing all of the cars out of the way, that the gap is coming down pretty rapidly. And the last time check was 1 minute. I think when we pull back, will only be 30 seconds.
Well, they are on a hill. I haven't found them yet, there they are. Yeah, I think you're right, 50 seconds is probably the gap now. They're coming very quickly. And when the capture arrives, as it surely will, then we're going to see a flurry of attacks, I am sure, because there are far too many riders here dreaming of a rainbow jersey right now.
Still a lot of big names in this group. Sergei Ivanov is still there for Russia. Looking a little bit further down the pack, Scotty Sunderland is still in there as well for Australia. A quick glimpse of him. This man here is Roberto Laiseca, the man we saw taking the stage victory at the Vuelta a España. Very good bike rider, finished high in the overall rankings as well. Spain on the front, completely organised, trying to pull this back, trying to keep a large group together for their man, the defending champion Oscar Freire.
And Richard Virenque is also there now, centre left of our picture, and still looking pretty cool here. 54 seconds, so that wasn't a bad guess by us, was it? And they now start to close in. This is going to be a most interesting move here now.
So James Brook, Polish rider on the right hand side, he now has to ride very close to the front of the pack after all of the work that was done by his teammates to pull back that advantage, which at one time was 4.5 minutes. Virenque looking over to see where everybody else is. There is Andre Schmiel a little further back in the light blue jersey of the Belgians. And if we can have a look further down the field, we'll get a chance to see if Laurent Jalabert managed to get himself back into the main field. There is Oscar Freire, the wearing number 1 there, pretty close to the front of the pack. Magnificent bike rider, defending champion, and looking very seriously as a major contender here to take the win twice.
Well, the Aussie left in the race, I think now. Scott Sunderland is right up there as well. Andre attacking, he's got a point to prove. Max Chandler still going through there. There's still 2 of the 3 British riders in this race, the one at the start, by the way. John Tanner and Charlie Gregarious, Max Chandler and Charlie Gregarious are the 2 riders left in this race, and they're both up there too.
Looking down that long main field there, and it catches much of the side of Laurent Jalabert, but it's very easy to hide in the main pack. Four leaders over the top of the climb now, starting to organise themselves just a little bit. Maréchal is the man in first place. Daniel De Luca's face not giving anything away right now, but I think he realises he's had his chance of glory at the World Championships. It's been a major help for the Italians, but basically for these four riders, as the pace picks up towards the end, they will get caught and probably spat out of the back.
But it's still been a superb ride. Over 100 miles in the lead now for those four survivors of the 9 who escaped originally, as again the Italians now trying to take control, trying desperately now to reduce that lead. Often wonder, Paul, why Italians are chasing an Italian.
I think they've realised now that the race is over. They realise that the fact is that four riders have been in the breakaway situation for a long time. Maybe the word has come back that in fact Danilo De Luca is not in excellent form. He's not certainly going to win. And the Italians feel that this is the moment they really need to pull out. This is Michele Bartoli, El Gatto, the cat they call him. He's coming out to the front of the pack right now. He knows this course. This is where he won the Grand Prix at Plouay. And this is the first major serious attack of the race.
Well, Bartoli now trying to rip this field to shreds here as we go into the closing laps of the event. There's still De Luca up in the front. He'll be not happy at the thought the Italians are throwing their best men at the race now to reduce that lead, but we are inside a minute, well inside a minute now to those leaders. We say bye-bye to Plouay again as we move out on these closing laps of the World Championship.
That attack hurt the Italian. The third position there is Davide Rebelli. Michael Bogart is there in the orange. Not quite sure what Michele wants. Come on boys, let's get working. He looks over his shoulder to see what sort of damage has been done. Not really enough for the moment. There's still an awful lot of five riders still in contact.
Well, the thing was, I didn't see Schmill making that break, so there's no reason for the Belgian rider to start working there. Besides, Bartoli is not slowing, cajoling everybody into action. Especially when you're strong enough to say no thanks.
He looks over his shoulder here. He sees that they've got the gap here and he's saying go, go, go because we have a gap. But nobody else wants to. The Belgian orders are obviously there. You can see that they're not going to work at all unless Andre Schmill is in the front split of riders. A general regrouping once again happening in this bike race, but that was a pretty serious attack there by Michele Bartoli.
Yes, it's one of those cases I wish the cameras at the back of the race because I'm quite sure we lost a few riders with that flurry of activity.
Absolutely. Many riders will be put under pressure there, but they need to keep this pressure on over the top. Otherwise, riders will recover. They have a slight gap over the rest of the field right now as Paolo Bettini comes forward to insist and accelerate on back-end riders in this Italian selection, but they haven't split the main field right now, so there will be one or two riders at the back suffering, but there's still around about 60 riders in this group.
All coming back together there. Seeing that the Italians now to drive on all of the time.
Maximilian Shenry riding through much of the front. Very much in the autumn of his career now, Matt, but still having, I reckon, a pretty good season. He was so close to getting himself a state victory in the Giro d'Italia earlier this year. Then was selected for the Great Britain team for the Olympic Games. And here, this crunch time, riding very well to the front of the pack of the World Championships.
There's the view of the farmland around Plouay. As the field now work out how they can bridge a gap of some 35 seconds, it's not much more than that, to the leaders. And they're all having a go now. The Swiss riders getting into the action, and this looks to me like Andre Schmill. Now they're going to have to react to this one.
Schmill looking very strong. He's dedicated the whole latter half of his season to this World Championship right now, and that really has caught the Italians hopping. The Italians looking over their shoulders now. They want to organise the chase at the front, but they need to chase down pretty rapidly. I can't really get an ID on the Swiss rider in there, but that is definitely Andre Schmill. And they haven't got very much of an advantage over the pack, but they are coming now to the fairly technical part of the course, so this is a possibility to open up the gap.
Well, the field and the message will soon spread down that Schmill is getting a bit active now. That peloton still though, very unwieldy, quite large. She's back up to the leaders, but now it's all over with the leaders of the main field, as all of a sudden they've wiped it all out, and after more than 100 miles in the lead, the World Championship is again up for grabs.
First man to make the junction there is Andre Schmill, but the main field are not really very far behind at the moment, and over the next few laps, for every time we hit that climb up through the finishing straight in Plouay, there will be attacks. They'll be trying to force a small small group of riders off the front. They're sitting up right now. This is a moment, a lull. Having caught the four leaders, everybody's trying to re-ascertain the tactics, who they need to launch for onto the attack. But certainly, Andre Schmil there in the middle of the picture, announcing the colours. He's in form and wants to take out the win here.
Well, just in that stage of any race, 2.5 laps still to go. Anybody under the shout now, and fighting the movement for world champions. A lot of good teams, a lot of men left in the show in this race. The Italian, Spanish, the French, the top Germans are still there as well. This is the corner that's called so many people off guard. It's still coming down the safety again.
Still getting one of the river there on the front. He will, I think, drift back a little bit more. This is the rear of the pack. Now this is rather interesting here because the man we're looking at right now is in fact Laurent Jalabert, who's riding himself into the pit. He was having serious difficulty there before Phil, and he's now climbing up. Right up there alongside him was a Gilles Bouvard. So that's a blow for the French, and I'm sure it's very much a psychological blow for Laurent Jalabert because of the worry of whether or not he has a contact for next season.
Yes, it wasn't quite what he had in his mind, I don't think, but there we are, that's the way it goes. This is now an attack by Eversole. I think it is, it might be Zeberg, was it?
Yeah, Zeberg was the brother of Marcus Zeberg. Very good bike rider. These two guys normally spend their season riding for the Rabobank team. Marcus Zeberg does come down to a large group sprint at the end. There's another man who has a serious chance of taking out a victory. This is the move by Zeberg. The Italian controlling the front of the main pack, and he's decided he's going to go out. It's always going to be on this slope up through the finishing straight towards the summit of the climb outside of Blue.
We've had some wet days this week, but we've seen some excellent bike racing, I have to say. Now one of them was Mari Holden, the gold medal at the time trial, beating Jenny Longo. Right, she never beat him until this year. She beat it in the Olympics for the silver and the gold.
6 kilometres to go. Zeberg hasn't really got much of an advantage over the main field, but look how easy Andre Schmil looks there, and he looks over his shoulders and look at the faces of the other bike riders in this event here and moves forward just to make sure that he's at the front of the pack. I think this man is in excellent form today. In about 5th or 6th position there in the multicoloured jersey with the red and blue sleeves is Maximilian Chiandri. On the right in the orange is Mikkel Bauder, and that group now has seriously been reduced in numbers because of all those accelerations. But what a crowd on the finishing line.
Fabulous atmosphere here as Max Chiandri is Britain, and here he is right on the front now. He's a man for championships, bronze medal in the Olympic Games 4 years ago in Atlanta, and wants to see anybody who can give him a hand here. Michael Bogdan, the rider in the orange Dutch colours. But there's a little bit of a truce just been called for the minute at least.
Well, Chiandri started off the season very well with a win in the state race in South Africa at the Road of Mondragon Tour. But I think more importantly for him was the win that he got in the Tour of Lazio just before the Olympic Games. Brochard now on the left-hand side, accelerating, trying to get himself off the front of the pack. A big bike rider, very popular in France, but still got that black cloud over his head because of his involvement with that Festina affair.
So Laurent Brochard might well be the team leader in the French now because there aren't that many of them left. Richard Virenque is in there somewhere. But apart from that, I don't think we've got many people left in the race.
That move was counted by Gianni Farzè, the Italian rider in the middle there, the Mbappé rider. Spain moves forward. One of these bike riders now feel the crunch of this Blue circuit, a very difficult circuit. And especially when you bear in mind that we're racing in excess of 45 kilometres an hour. Michele Bartoli there in 6th place, still looking for the move. Nobody yet has managed to break the stranglehold over this field.
And a big bunch is just strung out, but they're all coming back, you see. On the attack at the minute. And again, that long thin line, the attacking flag waving quite high now because they're more and more confident with the riders they've got left in this race. They surely have got the players. They're aware that this is going to be the start of it now because Bartoli's going again. Looks to see who's followed him. I can't see it. Might be Schmil. I can't quite see behind him. I think it is.
It is Schmil. Schmil is right there. These two riders marking each other very closely. But Chiandri riding well too there in 3rd position. The Italians still in great numbers in this group, and that is their advantage. If they see the right combination forming on the front, they can have 2 or 3 riders just sit up and let the gap go.
So the big boy is beginning to test the water now to see who is the strong man. I tell saw the wrong man on his wheel, Andre Schmidt, so he stopped up and back in the field. That field is a very tenacious bunch today. It hasn't really thinned out as Max Chambly's got control of the head now.
Chambly looking very cool. He shouldn't be riding like this. He's
No.
a lone rider. He doesn't have any team support at the moment. He has to ride his own race. But maybe thinking about moving on to a top squad. I think this is pretty funny. I'm actually riding for Great Britain all on my own. And I'm putting you guys into it. Michele Barkley goes again. Look at that. The right on his wheel there is Andre Schmidt.
Nothing now, I think with Andre Schmidt just before Barkley went. But Barkley and Vince Willis even grabbed it. Obviously Andre's marking him now. So it's a free wheel again.
What's strange is these guys are beginning to get worried about the fact they're not able to open up a breakaway situation, which is still a very large group of riders for this stage in a World Championships. And maybe the circuit here in Fleury is not quite difficult enough to split the race to pieces. Schmidt now on the attack. Coming here by Spain, when there would be a major reaction behind, and that will certainly come from the Italians. This group very much staying together. As they get closer to the finish, Phil, I'm wondering if we might see a very large group come down to the line here, because nobody so far has been able to get very much more than 10 or 15 metres off the front of this main pack. There are still a couple of the big teams with a large number of representatives present, which means they'll always be able to organise the chase unless exactly the right combination goes off the front. But looking down there, it's a very big pack.
It is very big, but I'm always full of admiration for the big stars like Andre Schmidt and Michele Barkley, always willing to attack and test the water, even though there are so many riders there, having more or less a free ride towards the finish. The big names of cycling never afraid to have a go and see what happens.
Belgium still got quite a number of representatives in the group here. Axel Merckx moving to the front of the pack right now. This is a tricky part of the course. Each time they come up to the line, they will face one lap to go to the finish.
Right on the front here, racing goal, microphones, all back together again, time for the win.
Axel Merckx in second place there. The Swiss also pretty much in the front, but Merckx sliding down through the group. Probably will go and have a quick word with Andre Schmidt. Almost 38 years of age, Schmidt, and still super competitive in these one-day races. Very well, and I think next time we come to the finishing straight up through Kuwait, we'll try and launch the attack again. I don't think that the flag is quite hard enough. This is Lucas Shinto on the front. Super domestique, a great friend of Maximilian Chambly's. He will ride his heart out for the team, the Squadra Azzurra right now.
So I saw Lucas Shinto win the Tour of Langkawi a couple of years ago. That really was the only winner Belgium's ever had. It was a big surprise. He rode so well. All the long thin miles, the beautiful French countryside and the west of France. As we cruise through Brittany now, these are wonderful roads to train on, just to cycle on. If you ever want a holiday, go to Brittany. But you'll find the roads are never flat, and the hills are often short and steep.
Well, there's Stangelay in fourth position, the Slovenian rider. I saw them win the Commonwealth Bank Cycle Classic last year. That's Axel Merckx there, riding pretty much to the front. Had a very good Olympic road race with Axel, but I think today really playing the card on Andre Schmidt's field in excellent condition. Swiss rider close to the front there is Mauro Gianetti wearing number 18. It's a long thin line, and still I think quite a few riders in this group that have got fresh background now.
Mark's is a man of the things of big day, big things. He always rides the occasion. He's right there again. Short, following, watching this with great interest now. The Italians are playing all of their cards right now, and they're not going anywhere. Paolo Bettini sets the pace now.
Got a glimpse of Michel Bouron. He's around about 20th place in this group at the moment, still very much a contender for the last lap here, because many world people find themselves with a strange break going on the front when we come up to the final section. Shinto deciding that as far as he's concerned, he has no hope at all of winning the event, but he does have a hope that Michele Barkley can take this already got it. Barkley, before the start of this race, was super favourite to step up the win. Magnificent win at the Grand Prix of the West Indies. rode very well in the Olympic road race. He just missed out on that move when Jan always got away with his teammate Andreas Kloden. Although he chased for an awful long time with his teammate Paolo Bettini, they were never able quite to make the junction. So if you can get the world title there, that would be a super event.
Chinto's in behind him, drives off. Chinto look over the shoulder at any help. Pulled this race to, goes wide for the left-hander. Fabulous riding, never afraid to work. He's not thinking of the world title. Although I remember Stephen Roach doing this with Sean Kelly. It would feel like in '87, end of the day was Roach who had to take out the title for Ireland.
Well, there are a few riders gone missing from that group right now. Looking down there, it's Rochard and Charbonnet pretty much to the back of this pack. Not very much, yes, this is Axel Merckx going off the front. This is a slight attack by Axel moving forward off the front of the pack, but it's looked to me like Gianni Parazane moving forward.
We're climbing up the drag towards the finishing line. Should be at the bell this time. And Axel Merckx has turned around the tactics a little bit by launching that attack.
Feel the pain right now looking down there. Number one is still in this group as well.
Chapel Gray, the American, a man for the World Championships. He rode a great year at Italia as well. These are the survivors now. There's an awful lot of them.
Look at what's starting down. Sure, let's do this. There's a bit of a gap appearing at the back of the main field. Look at the face of this man though. Second in the recent Paris Tours. The winner of the Tour of Flanders. Magnificent move. Everybody thought the race was over when this man left off the front and held on by fractions of a second to win.
That was a great ride. Now, it's again launching an attack.
So Guinness Crook is right in the action there in fourth position in the white jersey with the red stripe down the middle. The Italian rider on the front right now is Sergio Barbaro, who rides for the Lamprey squad normally. Another new cone, that looks like Neil Facto. That looks very much like Michele Bartley, very low down over the front end of the machine. This may well be the move. This is the move by Michele Bartley, but look at the reaction. Andre Schmil.
Very scramble behind. Now Schmil has marked Bartley throughout this race. Clearly nailed him down as the number one favourite along with Andre Schmil. And every time he's made a move, he's cruised over that gap. He's just cruised over it, and Bartley will just say, "Oh, not you again." As the reaction has come from the field, this will hurt. But Michele Bartley, in the sprinting style he has, stays low on the bars. He looks across at Andre Schmil. Schmil will not come through. I'm not sure if Merckx is back in the pack or whether he's still just in front.
He's back in the pack. The man on the front of the main field right now is Frédéric Guédon, but it's the Spaniards who are reacting. Moving forward, Spain has decided now is the time. That looks very much like Oscar Freire, who's coming forward right now. This is the front of the main field, and I don't think Michele Bartley will be too happy with the fact that Andre Schmil came across there, but he really didn't have the power to open up the gap. And Scotty Sutherland going through there in about 10th position.
He's ridden a very canny race just now, as Scott Sutherland. Never been far from the front, but never been on the front. Michele Bartley is beginning to lose his temper now. Everywhere he goes, Andre Schmil follows, but doesn't assist in the chase, because Schmil is a man for the late attack. He's too early.
True Italian temper coming through right now. Bartley thought that was the move that was going to ride into a lone victory here at the World Championships. But how easy it was, Phil, that Andre Schmil rode across there, and that acceleration by the main field is forming a rather large group at the front. They're split into three groups right now, with more even further back. But they're all sweeping across the road right now, and I think it's all going to come back together once again.
Well, after the Schmil did throw his hat in the ring here. That bunch would be crashed all over the place. And then it would be a race of 2 or 3 men. But one rider who we've consistently seen up here is the guy in the orange shirt, Michael Bogart. A good performance by him today, doing the world of good. Had a good couple of bad seasons.
Certainly has. We saw him in the baby from Temple, high placing in the Tour de France, and he certainly hasn't lived up to that over the last couple of years.
That's what Michael Anderson is Sweden, sure, isn't it?
Michael Anderson is still in the group. This is one of the Ukrainian riders, I think, pretty close to the top of the line right now. Merckx on the left-hand side. Merckx looking very good. He's got the kind of ride you want to allow to get off the front.
Axel Merckx on back to the front again. Bettini comes across the scrambles across the gap. Larson in the back there, 130. That is Igor to attack. He has to attack and finish alone. He's not the world's best sprinter, but he is. Remember his statement this year, the Giro d'Italia. He took it well, coming back to the breakaway, and then going straight past them and winning the stage. And he's going now, and he's going to go at a good time.
This is a good time because there's a lot of marking going on in the back of that group there. Bartoli and Schmiel have been following each other everywhere. Axel Merckx now could have well just have hit them at the right time, but there was a reaction coming from the Swiss team on the front of the main field. But if Axel could give himself 15 or 20 seconds and think the way the race is evolving right now, he may well be able to move on that advantage because there are so many riders in the pack still watching each other.
Well, the crowd still cheer, Belgium or no, as he comes up the little track. There's the Belgian flag now. I'm not sure they saw him go by, but they were certainly raising the right flag. As Merckx has got this little gap now, he had the legs to open it, now has got the legs to stay away. No immediate counter-attack here. It's the Spanish who are having to drive on behind. I think Schmiel at this moment will be rather happy that Merckx has gone clear.
Take some pressure off him sitting in that group. And you know, over the last couple of kilometres, there are one or two riders have disappeared off the back of this group, but it is still a very large group. It's the Spanish on the front in second position there, Gianni Parazin. Still looking very comfortable there was Andre Schmiel in the group. Merckx's face is really a picture of pain and anguish at the moment. He hasn't really opened up much of an advantage over the curve.
Coming up to the bell though, just one lap to go of the 19 remains. Britain and America have one representative each in that row, diminishing votes now. Max Chandri and Cham McRae are the two riders. There's the bell. Just under 6 hours in the saddle. And a massive crowd here, giving a lovely atmosphere in play. And the French still have a chance. There on the left floor picture is Richard Laurent. Rochard in here somewhere as well.
Parazin is an Italian on the front. This is a very strange situation. Parazin today riding for Italy. Normally he rides on the same team as Axel Merckx, and that is the Mattei squad. He's putting the pressure on right now, but Axel is not going to lay down arms very easily. If he could just keep this pressure on for another kilometre or so, he may well just break the back of the chase. But the Italians, Phil, are still in very strong numbers, and they will organise themselves at the front of this race to try and pull him back.
Okay, so Rumi has had a system update today, which is why the Ghost Riders and pacing partners look a bit different. So it's now possible. So in the past you could choose up to, I think it was 10 Ghost Riders who used to appear in the grey kits. And sometimes they'd be helpful, but more often than not they would either stay behind you so you get no drafting benefits, or they'd race ahead, or leave you say 100 metres or so behind. I'll give you very, very little benefits. But what's possible to do now is to choose the same Ghost Riders, but set them as like individual power ratios of watts per kilo. So what I have done is I've set maybe 5 or 6 pace riders or Ghost Riders with staggered watts per kilo from 3.5 to 4.5 watts per kilo. So I can put my foot down, and there'll typically be somebody just ahead of me to pace from, or if I drop back, there'll be somebody behind who's able to jump back on again. Yeah, I can't see the screen like text clearly from where I am on the bike, but I think when you see the pace partners or the Ghost Riders on the left side panel, I think when the text changes to red, it means they are slowing down a little bit. If it changes to green, they are putting a bit more effort in or going a bit faster.
In a race that's on their own territory, and the man we looked at there, Jean-Cyril Robin, is a former medalist at the World Championships just 12 months ago.
He was. Now we've got Switzerland driving at the front. These are now the final selection of this year's World Championship. A lot to the slow
One thing I haven't been paying attention to at the moment is if I get too far ahead, do those Ghost Riders disappear and appear just ahead of me again or behind me, or slow down too much? Do they reappear behind me so I can catch back onto them again? I haven't figured that out. I think I've got too many on the screen at the moment, so I can't really tell.
It might be a good psychological time to go because they may think it's gone too early.
Well, that's what they said to George Barnes, if you remember when he rode off the front, that nobody's going to attack that far from the end in front of a large group. He did that and held a 10-15 second advantage all the way down to the finish. He now has around about 4 or 5 second advantage, but the pressure is on in that main field. It's a big long line, and I would say if we got down there a little closer, we'd see a Spanish jersey on the front.
Well, you know, Andre Schmidt has made no secret back in his training for this. He turned back on the Olympic Games to ride the World Championship.
At least my quads are not as fatigued as they were earlier in the previous route.
A bit of a play back here. The Spanish riders all looking at him, but not having the legs to reach him. Now they're trying to settle in here with a bit of work being done by Beltran.
Serious names we're used to hearing at races like Tour de France and the Vuelta a España, but Spain getting themselves organised, and they still have a large.
Okay, so I didn't do a ride yesterday. I was meant to be doing the Roscoffner, but I was a bit tired.
This though is an incredible move by Andre Schmidt, approaching 38 years of age, and he's still got the guts and determination to go out and race. His excuse for that is that
And this ride,
late in life, he was a member
plus the race earlier on,
all over the world in the days of amateurs and professionals, and he turned professional very
will take me to about 1,000 metres for the week,
and the drive to go
which
out and
is
attack. And you know what? I think he
a
made
poor
one thing
start.
right.
Well.
So after this,
Position a World Championship was
I'm going to do a heavy climb
a
route.
long time ago, 7 years ago in fact, but he's been a man of the single day races. Holds that corner tight, he really should have taken a wider sweep, but nevertheless he accelerates away again.
Get another 2,000 metres of elevation.
He's seen his teammate Merckx try and fail. Now he's committed himself to the action here. There's not a long way to go, but it is still long.
And that will get me back on track for the week.
Still only around about 100 metres there.
Saturday afternoon,
At the moment, they're
I got 1-2 single race route again,
Spanish team are the ones that
which is the same as last Saturday, 145 kilometres and 4,500 metres of elevation in a single ride. It's 3 ascents of Mont Ventoux, so better win Marcy and Salt.
there on the far side is the Italian Fazzé. This backfield has really gone for it. It's a default diet right now. You have not got a second chance.
Ahead of the race, the crowd's now conspicuous by that absence from the majority heading down for the finish line. To see the race come in. Andre Schmidt, the grand favourite, alongside Michele Bartoli before the start. He's making his bold bid, and it is a bold bid as well. Mr. Shaky bit of the course. He rocks and rolls a little bit on these corners. He knows the bunch will have much more difficulty in getting around them than he has.
He's got to take all of the risks in these corners, but he doesn't want to push himself so he falls off. He's round that pretty safely now. The road is almost dry. It's not a tricky road because of the fact that Member is fairly rough. He's not likely to see those wheels slip from underneath him. As soon as he gets to a straight part of the course, though, he's picking up the acceleration again to maximum speed. And here he's looking at 55 kilometres an hour on his descent.
Well, this is a superb ride. I don't think anybody would be disappointed with a man like Schmidt got the world title. He'd be a very just holder of it. He's been a 6-day winner, a single-day winner rather, for many, many years. And now looks as though he may have broken the spirit of the chase.
Not sure that he has. It looks as if they're closing down on him now. They're getting themselves organised at the front of that pack. It has never really been very much more than 5 or 6 seconds at the moment. And there's another colour of jersey moving forward now. It's pale blue, and I would say that is probably Italy, who sent a few riders up to the front of this pack. And it is Italy that Gianni Farazin. A little bit of a bounce hit with the camera, but it's a high-speed action now all the way down to the finish line. And the fact that Spain and Italy are joining forces, Phil, I think it's going to put bait to this man's escape.
A dire effort now by the Belgian rider. He says, no, I'm going to have to save some energy and try and go again. There's still time to do that. He's realised he hasn't broken the spirit of this race, and he's coming back up alongside him. This could well turn out to be a massive front sprint for the world title. Italy shutting down now, followed by Axel Merckx. They're all back together again now. The Spanish rider, the other Spanish rider, by the way, is Rubiera, number 10. And now Belgium launches another attack. There are a lot of riders here.
There's still an awful lot of riders in this group. Surprising to see the Belgians throwing another man out there. Chris Pearce is going off the front right now. And I'm going to have to throw it over to you, Phil, because I can't remember the last time there was such a large group coming down towards the finish line at the end of a World Championships.
Well, I'll throw it back, because I'm not sure I can either without getting all the bucks out. This has been a fabulous World Championship in the last couple of laps. I can't say it's been a record breaker earlier on. But there's been a lot of boys here believe in themselves and believe that they have their men on their team. The Spanish are riding the hearts out now for a repeat win of Oscar Freire. He started off with wins, but he started to show World Champion.
Spain. They will ride as fast as they can down into the finishing town here of Plouay, and that's when they hope they will set up the sprint for their man wearing number 1 there, Oscar Freire, the outgoing world champion.
Javier Cerezo, Beltran are the riders setting the pace up there in the hope. And the other third pacemaker is Rubiera of Spain, and no vision of number 1, the world champion. Must be feeling now that he has a chance unloading his pockets here. It's Goran Stanley, the Slovenian who's had his best season ever, and he's still in, and it has a reasonably fast sprint as well.
Well, the Swedish rider Nicolas.
Okay, time for a bit of climbing now.
So too is Richard Viron right in there as well. Still Jean-Cyril Robin is there, but the Spanish, Phil, with Beltran on the front here doing an absolutely magnificent job of setting up the sprint for their man Oscar Freire. Going through there is Sergio Barbaro. On his wheel is the other rider from the Mapei squad, that's Gianni Farazin. A lot further down is Michele Bartoli. It's setting itself up to be a magnificent sprint. Soon the Italians, I think, are going to take over the pacemaking at the front.
They've got to launch the attack that will decide this championship on this long drag now, because it's nearly over. Bullshit. And here comes the attack again.
Sergio Barbaro has gone off now. That is strange to see him attack like that, because I would have expected him to try and set up the sprint for the rest. And it's the Italians all over the front of the main field. They really need to shut it down right now. And if this man walks away with it, that will be a surprise victory.
It will be a surprise, but not a bad world champion in Sergio. His face is saying he won't keep away, though, but he might. As comes the counter-attack behind. I'm not sure why the Italians are chasing each other here.
I can't believe that was Michele Bartoli. He halved the gap, the advantage that Barbaro had there. Now is Michael Bogert going down the far side. He's got a Belgian on his wheel. It looks as if it may well still be Andre Schmeel, but they're all queuing up there down the right-hand side.
Team captains sometimes cannot accept they have to become lieutenants. Because there's no doubt there that he should have given Barbaro his chance. Barbaro's blown it now. He's dropped down. Michael Bogart is launching another attack here. Chris Pearce in second place. That looks like Oscar Freire has got himself up to third.
Absolutely, third place for Freire, but a white jersey there is Scott Sunderland riding a magnificent finale.